The G-Wade Podcast with Deacon Dirty.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy G-Wade holding it down, G-Wade Podcast, and I'm kicking it alongside with my man Deacon Dirty. And we got a special guest in the building. The money, where the money reside. That's what I want. You know what I'm saying? The money has shown up. Well, we're gonna learn about the money. That's for sure.
Show you right.
Brian Joubert from LB Tax and Business Advisors in the house.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming through, man.
Man.
I've checked out some of your lives, and Tamiko had mentioned you a few times, and she was like, he be dropping some gems. And so I started listening. I was like, okay. Well, we need to find out where the money resides. You know what I'm saying? So, let's get a little background a little bit before, so that people will know that when you start talking these numbers, that you know what you're talking about.
All right, no doubt, man. All right, when I was 2 years old.
Right.
How far you need to go back?
Mama and daddy was a sharecropper.
Yeah,
I
used to save my coins, they gave me, and I take showers with them in baths, because I had clean money when I was 4. But but actually, man, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. The longest I've ever worked a job was 11 months.
Really?
So, yeah. So, I've really never did the whole corporate thing. I've always been entrepreneur.
So, you were, that was a mindset.
Yeah. And it was always, and just coming from New Orleans, basically, and, just the way I was raised, some of the things we grew up on, it just never was a work mentality, and so I was blessed enough, man, to just always find things that I was good at. And like even my first business, I had a shoe shine.
Okay.
And I had a spot in the Omni Hotel. My mom didn't work at the Omni, but I was, working independently.
Gotcha.
So at 16, 17 years old, I'm coming home pocket full of money,
What?
And then and it just kind of progressed from there. Even in the younger days, I shot pool. I did all kind of things to make money. So I never really needed money, hurtful money, and so it was never really a reason for me to go to work.
Gotcha.
And it just transitioned, man, and I was blessed to learn a lot of principles at a young age. And so my first couple of businesses was a courier business and a janitorial business, basically about 23, 24. And then about 26, I got introduced to the tax game.
Gotcha.
And so what happened was I leveraged my courier business. Me and my partner split. He took the janitorial, I took the courier.
Okay.
And so I was one of the first people, probably if not in the Southeast, probably in the nation, to have a pickup delivery tax business.
Oh, wow.
Because I had the janitorial. I mean, I had the courier business. I had drivers around.
It's
the
like
city.
I'm already moving around.
It made sense.
Yeah.
And this was pre-fax, pre-internet.
Right.
I ain't gonna tell my age, but I'm just saying we didn't have that much access to technology back then. Mm-hmm. So the couriers, were hot back then. And so when I found a niche market of real estate, be it real estate people, mortgage companies, it really grew big. But then I got into the tax business. And when I got that, it started growing, man. And so I was like, this is beautiful. 4 months and you can make this kind of money, but you can help people. So I leveraged my courier business at about 26. I sold it. So that was probably my first profitable sale pretty much at that age for a good amount.
Yeah.
And from there I took the tax business and started just progressing and learning. But what I saw was there was nobody in the lane that was specifically catering to businesses.
Okay.
Everybody was talking about how fast they can get your money back. They can get it back in 2 days, or they can get you a big refund. Or my thing was, who helping businesses? And so over the years, I just became more and more knowledgeable on businesses because I had started so early and I had so many experiences with businesses, and I changed my niche to really just focus on business taxes.
Gotcha.
I still do individual, but my goal is, what about the people who owe money? Sometimes you just need to not pay as much.
Yeah.
You might not be getting a big refund, but everybody ain't getting no big refund.
Yeah.
How can I not pay as much?
How can I pay $70 $70 like the 45th? How much did he pay?
Yeah. And so that's one thing. I want people to have that Donald Trump syndrome.
Yeah.
I made $78 billion and I only paid $8.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And so that was my goal, really, to start doing that. And really, I found the lane, man, and just took it to a whole nother level. And so you're talking about 24 years later in the tax business.
Wow.
I'm still here with multiple locations around the country.
Okay.
I was up to probably about 9 to 11 offices at one time, but then in Atlanta, I had 4, but then when technology really got serious, like, okay, it don't make sense to have all that. Let's leverage technology. So I've been in this game, the tax business, for about 24 years now, man. So I might know a little something. You know?
little something. Now, so, but you said introduce. Now, was that just through a conversation? Was that, you were sitting down and somebody's like, you can take this and do this with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's basically how it started, man. Really, when I got it, I was basically in a situation where I didn't have all my freedom.
Okay.
Back in the day. And so
you was in Clubhouse.
I still had the business. I still had the business. So the courier business, and my partner sent me the information where I resided at the time. And so what happened was, I didn't like the situation. I didn't like the taxes. So I'd asked around if anybody knew. And I found a cat that was willing to sit down and show me what was going on with my taxes. And when he started looking over it, he started asking questions, but he saw that I was getting excited about it.
Okay.
And he was like, man, he said, you want to learn this? I said, yeah. I said, because everything about it was me.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean, I love numbers.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I love numbers. That was the thing. I was that cat that in school where when the teacher give an equation, I would try to do it in my head before you did it on the calculator.
Wow, yeah.
So everybody would pull out their calculator. I would try to do it in my head. And so I was that dude. And then the other part of it was, I love learning. I love learning new stuff. Tax business is continuous learning. I mean, yearly, you learn it. Everything changes.
Something new, yeah.
And then the third component is I've always been a people's person. I love helping. I love growing. I love seeing people win. So put those 3 things together. This is me, man.
Okay.
This is me. And then the thing was, I was never really a workaholic. I understood working smart a long time. But so when I found out you can make this kind of money in 4 to 6 months, like, this might be something that I might want to do.
Yeah.
And so he sat down, man, he showed me the game, and I just took it to another level.
Now when you say make this, make so much money in a short, a short amount of time, is that because you're receiving the monies from, I guess, preparing the taxes? Is that what it is?
Yes, from preparing the taxes.
Gotcha.
And the thing about it is because, again, I learned early on, that when you start talking about hourly pay, because at that time we didn't really know a whole lot about net worth and all of this stuff. But when you start talking about, all right, I could do a tax return for $250 for 1 hour. Like when everybody else said, man, I make $12.50. I make $15 an hour. And I'm like, okay, I make $250 an hour. It's like, okay, this is a different ball game. And that's from the preparation of the taxes.
Gotcha.
And so then probably didn't take me long to realize that this is an industry that people have to get this done.
No way around
and so that was the beauty of it, that it wasn't the fact that, you had a choice like, oh, let me see if I'm going to do it or not. I just had to make you want to do it with me.
Gotcha.
And so that's why at a young age, I took my time to really learn this business inside out. Yeah. Because if you're a 26-year-old going up to adult, talking about, let me do your tax, adults looking at you like crazy, like, youngster, what you know? You don't know nothing about no house, no business or nothing. Yeah. So I had to master the game. So when you see I'm talking to you and I'm like, I'm telling you things that your preparer ain't telling you at a young age, you're like, okay, this cat might know something. So that's how I really flipped the game and was able to be successful at a young age, because I understood to win, I had to be a beast.
Now, you said, you were talking about recently, 20 reasons why you're not successful.
Yes.
Can you give me a few of those? I know one of them was like trying to satisfy everybody.
Yeah, that's the one I led off with. I did a tour in 2016, maybe part of 17. And I did a tour, and I did about 8 cities before we stopped it. Okay. And it was very successful in the sense of, people really wanted to know why I'm not succeeding. And so when I say 20 reasons why you're not successful, this is things I've seen over the years through entrepreneurs, and even probably myself in the beginning. And one of them was, the first thing I led off with was trying to please everybody. Right, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
And so you either gonna be bankhead or you're gonna be buckhead.
Yeah, that's what you said.
And as I said, so you can't please everybody. And so if you cater to all of the clients, you have no clients.
Gotcha.
Because you ain't gonna win. You ain't gonna win that way.
Now explain that bankhead buckhead analogy.
All right, and so when I say that, and there's no slight on Bankhead.
Yeah.
I had some great times on Bankhead when I first moved to Atlanta. Hey, Bankhead was killing it back in the day. So Silver Fox. I ain't gonna get into that's another conversation.
You went way
that's another conversation.
He said he went way back.
Yeah, that's another. Leave that alone.
Right.
All right. So, but the thing is, why I say that is because
right
you got to understand value when you sell your business. If you ain't creating value in your business, you can't expect people to stay, and you may not even expect people to come. And if they come, they ain't gonna stay.
Okay.
If you ain't selling value. So when I say Buckhead, if you think about Buckhead and the restaurants and Buckhead, the Houston's and all that, Houston's and those type of restaurants, they ain't doing 2 for $20s. They ain't doing those lunch specials. Neiman's Marcus ain't doing commercials because they know who their clients are.
Gotcha.
So if you say, all right, you know what? I know my value. This is what I'm charging. You need to charge that and look for those type of clients.
I got you.
Or if you say, know what, I'm gonna keep my prices cheap. I want to basically, and we know no slight on Bankhead again, but we know Bankhead is a little bit cheaper. So either I'm gonna deal with low income clients,
okay,
and I'm gonna keep my prices low. But if I keep my prices low and I try to deal with Buckhead, those people are gonna say, well, no, that's too low. Maybe you don't know what you're doing, or maybe your product is not that good because you can't charge that low. So they're not gonna deal with you. If you're too high and you creating value, you can't go to Bankhead because they're gonna say, no, we ain't paying that much. We could get it down the street for $10 less or something. So you gotta pick one. And when you pick that, you have to master that industry. Because people think that when you more expensive or it's higher, people not gonna buy. It's a whole market out here. It's an industry for everything you do.
But I think that's the thing that does make people a little leery or scared because he's thinking you might be outpricing yourself. You know what I mean? To where, like you said, if I'm charging this much, who's going to want to pay that much? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you got to be reasonable. you can't be where the market is $25 and you say I'm gonna charge $85.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if the market is $25 and you say I'm gonna charge $40 because I know what I give. I know my product is better. I know my customer service is better. I know my follow up is better than what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And there's a market for everything. I tell people, I always say we the Tiffany's of taxes.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, it's just people not gonna go to Tiffany's. People gonna be comfortable with Zales and K Jewelers. So if you're not good with Tiffany's, then you go to Zales or K Jewelers. I'm not knocking them, but it's a market for everybody. If you don't like, if Mercedes too much for you, you go to Kia. And people gonna buy Kia. So every industry has its high end market. And there's people that's buying it. I tell people, when the last time you saw a Neiman's Marcus, a Saks go out of business, or a Tiffany's go out of business? They don't really go out of business because there's a market for people who want high end stuff. As long as you can produce. And this is what I tell people: people ain't tripping on your pricing if you give value. Because if I give you something and you feel like it was worth it, then you ain't worrying about the price because you feel like you got your money's worth. That's the whole key. And that's what the bad perception we have in our community is that we don't, like, people don't feel like if you charge that much, I'm not going to get my value. And I tell people, I'm a perfect example because I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be the cheapest. I ain't going to try to be. But I know what I'm going to give you. So at the end of the day, when you might say, dang, you're a little high, you're like, compared to who? And I might be higher than what you dealt with if you dealt with your coworker or you dealt with your neighbor, or the barber, the barber does your, taxes or something. I might be a little bit higher, but the thing is you'll be able to get me all year round.
Gotcha.
I'll be able to answer questions, but not only that, I'll be able to educate you so you can be better. So if I charge you $200 more, but you're able to make $200,000 more, it's worth it.
It's a no-brainer.
And that's what we have to understand, that it ain't really, I always tell people, don't trip on what you pay, trip on what you get for what you pay.
Okay.
And that's the whole key.
That. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a tweet right there. You said to think big.
Think big. You have to think big, and the thing is that we have enough small thinkers. And so when we start talking about moving into generational wealth. We use that word a lot in our community.
We use it and don't really.
And I don't think people really understand what generational wealth means.
Yeah. Can you break it down?
Making six figures is not generational wealth.
I'm here for the generation.
Six figures now is being able to pay my bills and wait for my next check now.
Yeah.
And so we got to start thinking big when we start talking about leaving legacies, when we start talking about leaving things to our kids. So when we start talking about having a business, all right, if you start one location, why not two? Once you get two, why not three? Because the process actually gets easier. If I make 100,000, why not now make $250,000?
Right.
Make $250,000, because the thing is now you can control stuff. And see, this is why I say think big, because if we really truly adamant about changing our community, leaving our kids something, you're going to have to think bigger. Because again, we understand if you live into 75, you got to outlive your money.
That's true.
So you can't outlive your money or pass anything down if you're making ends meet. So the only way you can do these things and you can change and you can affect change is by thinking big. So now when I get the $250,000, I want $500,000. When I get $500,000, I want $1 million. And I want to keep that going because that's the only way you're going to basically be able to move. But then if you really want to employ your community, I got to have a bigger business to be able to employ
people. Yeah.
So I got to get away from the whole mentality of, all right, I'm a one-man operation, because again, I'm a high profile employee. Pretty much. I can't employ nobody, so I'm not changing the dynamics of my community. And so that's why I say think big if we really want to win as a people.
Yeah. Now, tax season is upon us.
Yes.
And so everybody's getting their W-2s and the 1099s and getting ready to go get preparations. You mentioned something about filing the wrong status. Now, what does that mean when you're filing the wrong status?
Well, and that's a lot of times it happens with your do-it-yourselfers.
Gotcha.
And when we talk about filing the wrong status, is a common thing basically is people filing single when they're head of household. Just because single is defined from a tax standpoint as unmarried with no dependents.
That's what single is considered.
That's single considered. Okay. Head of household is considered unmarried with claiming a dependent.
Okay.
So what happens is sometimes if people are not educated, they end up filing single because they were like, well, I'm not married, even though they have a child.
Okay.
So their whole thing is I'm not married. So they'll file single because they're not married, but not understand the tax law allows you to do head of household because you have a dependent.
Okay.
And so it makes a big difference because you get a specific amount of deductions based on your particular filing status.
Okay.
Single is about $12,400. Head of household is $18,650. So I'm short myself about $6,000 by not knowing. And so that's one of the ones. And then even married filing separate and married filing joint.
I was going to ask about that.
That's a big one too, because what happens is when you're married, you technically have two options: married filing separate or married filing joint.
Now, why do you have those two choices? I guess is it because the couple doesn't want their money to commingle?
And I'm glad you asked.
Now, I don't trust you. You know what I'm saying?
well, like I say, you do married filing separate because they give you that option. Because once again, we're married. I love you, but your taxes jacked up.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I love you, but you don't pay no taxes.
So in other words, they're gonna be snatching all our money.
Because once again, in the tax world, in the marriage, it ain't yours or mine no more.
Yeah,
it's ours.
Okay, right.
It's ours. And so we do separate because you might have a business which you paid no taxes in. I have a W-2, I pay taxes. So what happens is now when we file together, our tax bracket goes up. You didn't pay no taxes on after all expenses, say $75,000. We're gonna get crushed.
Yeah,
we're gonna end up owing money.
Gotcha.
And when we owe. You jacked us up.
Yeah,
but we owe.
Yeah.
So it's like, know what? I don't want to get in your mess. So what we don't, what the IRS don't tell us though, and most tax professionals, if you don't know, and most people don't know this, there's forms that's called injured spouse. Injured spouse, meaning that I'm injured by your situation. So if they're going to snatch your money or whatever, then you can do that, so you can file together. A lot of people don't want to file together because either you got back taxes, back child support, student loans. So it may be feasible, but the problem with that is that married filing separate is the worst filing status.
Why so?
The government actually penalized you for being married and not filing together. And
is that a setup?
I think, and I'm going to tell you why my logic behind that is because if we file together, what happens is we actually now boost our income. If we boost our income, we're in a higher tax bracket. We're in a higher tax bracket. We have to pay more taxes. So I'm thinking that's my theory behind it. I don't know if anybody ever answered that question. Why? But we do know married filing separate is the worst filing status. You get taxed at a higher tax rate. You get a lower, what we call lower standard deduction.
Okay.
You disallowed for most credits that's out there: education credit, child tax credit. You don't get student loan interest. You can't take a loss on your rental property. So it's a bunch of different things that you get penalized for married filing separate. And this is why I tell people always talk to a tax professional before you do this and look at it both ways and see if it makes sense. Look at it and see if it makes sense, because what happens is married filing separate, when they doing it on their own, what people do is, and I ain't ratting on nobody, but what happens is,
names.
and which I tell, and this is why I'm transitioning people, because what happens is now, since married filing separate is the worst filing status, we got two options: married filing separate, married filing joint. I don't want to file with you.
Okay.
So what I do is I might file single and you might file head of household. Now it works out.
So you don't say married when you do it that way?
No. Now it works out better for you financially because we don't get penalized and all that.
Right.
But it's not the correct way.
Gotcha.
And that's a common practice, which now I'm starting to get a lot of people out of that when they come. And I tell them why. And the reason why I do this is not that I don't want you to get the maximum refund. And first of all, I tell you it's not right. And then secondly, what happens is you get more and more, my clients specifically, that because with me being in business 24 years, you might have a son or a daughter that was 8 years old, but now they're college students.
Right.
And so now what's happening, the school is asking for your paperwork. So now you submitting the paperwork saying I'm head of household or single, and they say, well, I thought you was married and your husband. This is incorrect. We need to amend this. And so now you got to go back and amend the taxes. And now when I got to change it, I got to pay all that extra money back that I shouldn't have got from the first place.
Wow.
Now if you go to court and they say, well, we need your tax papers for whatever reason, you're buying a house, we need your tax papers. And now the house people getting your tax papers and they're like, okay, I thought you and your husband was doing the loan, but it's supposed to be verified. So you're having these issues. Gotcha. So what I'm trying to get people to do is really, if you have to bite the bullet, right now, bite the bullet, because in the long run, it's going to cost you more. And so that's when I say people filing the wrong filing statuses, and a lot of times it's out of ignorance and a lot of times it's out of convenience.
Okay. Well, Tamiko has a question, but before you ask, let me ask you this real quick. Is there a category for when you were once married and now you're divorced? Are you considered single again?
Yes. If you're not claiming a dependent, then you're back to single.
You're back to single. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's no after marriage. It's no after married, bruh. Single. No.
Like where that box at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Household though, right?
If he's claiming a dependent.
Oh.
So it don't matter how much you pay your bills. Like, it's like, I pay all my bills.
My bills depend on me.
I pay my back. I pay all my mortgage myself. I pay all my bills.
Yeah.
If you don't have a dependent in the tax world, you're single.
Gotcha.
In the real world, you might be head of household because you pay
yeah.
everything. But in the tax world,
that ain't
you
how
have
they
to
see
have a
you.
dependent.
Basically, if you ain't feeding somebody that's eating in your house, so you.
Now, if somebody just coming over eating it,
No, like, if they're living there,
Not
like
the
you're
same.
taking care of them, basically.
well, yeah, if they're living there, you're taking care of them. Yeah, you have the right now. You become head of household if you're claiming them.
Yeah, I'm gonna claim them if they doing all that.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely.
A lot of my cereal got.
It has to be a certain age, right?
No, head of household, and that's one of the misconceptions.
So you
too.
saying it could be grandma?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I hear clients always say, "Oh, well, my child 21 now, to 18, I can't claim him no more." You can claim somebody at any age.
They don't tell you that.
They could be 58, 59, 60. It don't matter.
I know somebody that does that every year.
The difference is you just don't get the credits for them when they get older.
Gotcha.
So like you got what they call a child tax credit.
Yeah.
And you get $2,000 per child under the age of 17.
Okay.
So you can claim them once they hit 17, 18, but you're just not going to get that extra 2,000.
But how is that? Is that even worth it?
Yes, in a lot of cases it is, because it changes you now from single to head of household.
Gotcha.
So now you get
There's a credit for that.
You get the deduction for head of household, but not only that, the tax brackets are different. You actually in a lower tax bracket when you're head of household. Single people get taxed the most.
Okay.
So when you go head of household, your tax bracket is lower, plus you get the additional stuff. But then you still can qualify for what they call earned income credit if they're under 19.
Okay.
And so, and if they're 19 or older, as long as they're in school, you can claim them up to 24. So yeah, you still can get credit for them. But then if they over 24, like I said, you got a brother, sister that's 30 years old and you taking care, you can claim them. You'll get head of household. You just won't get those credits.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense now. Yeah.
I still have another question. So you said that being married and filing joint, you raise your tax bracket. Now I thought that, what's the threshold for paying taxes where you make a lot of money but you get taxed low? Like, how are all those really rich people, like, what is the threshold?
Are you talking about in America?
In America. In America.
Because that ain't happening in America. You saying when your income goes up and then you pay taxes low. No, when your income goes up, you pay taxes higher. Now, how those people basically, this is why you always hear me preaching. This is why you always hear me preach and get a business. Because
I heard you say
when
that.
You start talking about those people basically that pay little or no taxes, it's usually because they understand how to leverage their business.
Gotcha.
And that's basically what it is. And that's why, and I say this every week, that rich and successful people get businesses just to play the game.
That's interesting.
Just to play the game. It's not always about making a whole lot of money. Sometimes they use it because, again, everybody have a cell phone now. Everybody eating. Everybody has a car. Most people have a home office. If you don't have a business for something you're using every day, you're losing.
Gotcha.
Car.
You're losing. So you have no tax break. So now if I got a business, stuff that I'm using every day, doing every day, I got a business write-off for it now. So I'm getting those tax breaks.
Gotcha.
So don't be on Instagram #winning when you leaving all this money on the table. You ain't winning.
No. What would be, with that, using that theory or way of operating, what businesses would someone start just for that purpose? And I'm not suggesting give them some kind of ideas, but you know what I mean? Because like if you don't wash cars and you got a car wash, you get what I'm saying?
Well, you can't just make up.
That's what I mean.
I ain't just saying just
so
make
you can't
up
hide
you
money?
have one.
Right.
That's called jail time.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, that's called jail time. No, I ain't saying just make up one, but I tell people everybody has an idea. But even if you didn't, the one thing I do is I tell people get into multi-level marketing. There's everything in multi-level marketing. If you say I love traveling, I love credit, I want to help people, I want to do investing, you got everything. I don't tell you which one to get into.
Right.
But I tell you that's a good base because it's low to get in. If it's $300, people $300 to get in. Like, where you gonna start a business for $300 at?
True that.
So it's good in that sense, as well as you have a situation where you already got a built-in website.
Yep.
You got a built-in support team.
True.
And even the monthly amount that you pay is tax deductible.
Okay.
And so now, even if I paid every month, I had to pay every month to be in this organization. I had to pay the amount to get in. That's a tax write-off. So if I invested over a year's time, if I invested $750 to $1,000 doing this, now my write-offs with my mileage, my car, my cell phone, maybe meeting people for lunch or dinner, meetings that I'm doing, all that now reduces my tax bracket.
Okay.
That means now, because I have a lower tax bracket, I can get more money back on my refund. If I don't get a refund and I normally owe, that means I owe less. So if I took a $1,000 investment, but I was able to get an extra $2,500 back on my taxes, that was a great return on my investment.
Great. Yeah, you're right.
For not putting in a whole lot of work, but I'm legal because I do have a legitimate business.
Gotcha.
I pay every month. I basically have a website. I have all of those things. It's a legitimate business. You know, and so the same with you know, that's same with if you have a bigger concept, you just gonna have bigger expenses. So if I do want to open up a car wash and I do want to get involved, the money I spent for that basically can offset what I made. You know, especially in the first few years, you may show the loss on it.
Right,
But again, I tell people, you just might get lucky and start making a bunch of money from your business.
You're right about, like, I didn't know that was. I didn't mean to do this.
Yeah, you know. So, but that's the key though. And if you think about it, I tell people, all the people that you really look at that say they don't pay no taxes and ever, they got businesses.
Gotcha.
They got business and corporations. You know, when Trump got into office, the first thing Trump did was change the tax bill. You know, nobody don't remember that, but when they first got in, what he was saying was, oh, we're going to drop the corporate tax rate because corporations going to save hundreds of millions of dollars, and what we're going to do, that's going to stimulate the economy, and we're going to be able to hire people, give bonuses, that's the first thing he did, because he understood taxes eat up people money. So
all
it's like,
my
all right,
buddies
if
would
I
be
can
able to
get in
save
here and
money.
I can change from paying 39% to 21% on my corporations, I'm going to save $100 million. All my friends are corporations, so they're going to save $100 million.
Wouldn't it be a conflict of interest, like, you know, well, he's not the president anymore, but at the time, wouldn't that be considered a conflict of interest by him doing
Not
that?
if I sell it as for the people. Not if I sell it as for the people. You know, that's what con men do. Don't con men make you believe that it's for you and you're going to win with this, but in actuality, they win.
Yes.
You know,
you're right.
and so, but that's the whole thing, is that we're going to hire more people. We're going to stimulate the economy.
You
know, millions of people are going to benefit. You know, millions of your friends and followers, you know, and so, that's the conflict of interest that he ain't telling the truth, the whole truth. That's the conflict. But I tell people, I ain't really mad at him for some of the things he did, because we all should have that mentality. You know what? I'm going to get in a position of power and I'm going to take care of my people. We all should have that. If I get on a job and I become executive on that job, I'm going to look for people I know that's qualified to start hiring them first. We need to do that. Because that's what everybody else does. You know, we have a mentality when we get on top, we say, well, I don't know, I don't want to mess it up for me. So we ain't going to hire our people. Other folks get in and they have basically everybody they grew up with in that company.
Right.
They got a team.
You know, and so, you know, that's what I say. So from that standpoint, I ain't mad at it when you start talking about hiring your son-in-law, hiring your son-in-law. I would do the same. You know, but it's just a way to go by. You know, it ain't like to say the way he do it is, that's the issue. You know, but not what he do. You know, and so, and I'm not a supporter at all. You know, but I do say that he understand taxes and he understand those kind of things.
You understand the business,
So,
failing to report income. Now, if you're failing to report it, are you failing to report it because there was a W-2 for it, or you failing to report it because you were being paid in cash?
I can't speak on everybody. I can't speak on everybody, but mainly that comes into play with cash businesses.
Gotcha.
You know, that probably with the, when I used to go to the IRS, I can say when I used to go. Well, I guess when I used to go, because with COVID, you really don't go to as many conferences as you used to. So when I was going over the last few years, their main focus was that hair industry.
The who?
The hair.
Hair, okay.
The cosmetology industry, barbers, stylists. You know, because they was feeling like that's the biggest, what they call the income gap. As far as what's being reported to what's being taxed. That was their main focus, trying to see how can we crack down on the industry, because we know it's billions or hundreds of millions of dollars in that industry not being reported.
So they in there having these think tanks trying to figure out.
Oh yeah. So that's why one of the things they did was they said that everybody in the salon would have to have a business license.
Okay.
That's what they try to start doing, because see, when you get the business license, now you got to have your taxes to get your business license. So they tried that, but they don't have enough enforcers for that. But now it's transitioned to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that a little later.
They're trying to find out now how they can tax that industry, the cannabis industry. They still haven't figured that out yet. So now they're dealing with that. So because that's an issue, not reporting all your income. You know, it's an issue. And one of the reasons why I tell people consider it. Consider, you know, reporting all your income, even a different amount from what you tell me.
Like, I considered it, but
I say a different amount from what you tell me.
So in other words, if they're saying 25,000, you're saying, listen, you done made 80, but tell me 50.
That ain't on me. I can't say I know you made.
No, I don't mean it that way. Let me change that. So because you're saying, tell me a different number. You said
I made an extra $25,000 cash.
Okay.
Then I'll say, all right, well, on my intake sheet, write that amount down. And if they question it, you might need to show that.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if you technically made 80. If we're not, whoever doing your books and things like that, then that might be an issue on them. But if you say that, and the reason why I say this, not that I ain't gonna say that I want you to report all your money. If that's by law, you should. But the reason why I say that is because I'm all about positioning, and I want us to start positioning ourselves better to acquire things.
Okay.
So now if I'm consistently year after year writing off everything and I'm only showing $15,000, how can I buy a rental property?
Yeah.
How can I get equipment for my business? How can so if I don't have money to play with, I can't, it's going to be harder for me to grow my business. So what I want you to do is play with other people's money.
Okay.
So I want you to show 50,000, 75,000. Yeah, you might have to pay some taxes on that. But if I have to pay $8,000 in taxes, but now I'm showing $75,000 and I can go get a line of credit.
Gotcha.
A loan for $100,000, I'll trade that all day.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll trade it all day. So if I could take that $100,000 that I got as a line of credit, pay off the $8,000.
Yeah.
I'm $92,000 up.
You
so
up.
now I can go buy the equipment that I want to grow my business. I can hire somebody so I can do marketing now. I can increase my business. This is why I want people to do that, because we're in a situation where we think we're beating the system, but the system is killing us.
Yeah.
Because we can't acquire nothing. We can't acquire nothing.
Now, do you think that I guess maybe the IRS or whatever that's something? I'm assuming it's something they tell you, but it's in the books. So in other words, it's something we just don't know. You know what I mean? Because what you just explained made perfect sense. Report the 75,000. Now you can, show that you are worthy of line of credit. But you know what I mean? But that's because I heard it from you.
Yeah. And the thing is that I would say the one thing that I'm great about compared to most people in my industry, I can break this stuff down in layman's terms where it makes sense to you.
Right.
Like, I ain't speaking over your head, but it makes sense. And the thing about it is that, it's not enough people that really notice to give it. That's why people are not doing it. Gotcha. And we can't expect the oppressor to help the oppressed. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. So when people say,
show you how to win,
they don't tell you that. Like, they ain't gonna tell you that. The IRS don't. No. If they trying to keep you down and they're oppressing you economically, I'm not gonna give you the game on how to now beat me.
Now beat the game. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why you don't hear this. So if it's not spread that by people who really care and people really who want to see us win, then it ain't gonna get out there.
No, that makes sense.
Tamiko brought up a good point. She had mentioned earlier about you talking about the hair industry and them trying to crack down on that. What about strippers? Yeah.
Well, all of that. But the thing about it is, a lot of them be in the strip club, so they ain't trying to stop that.
They're like, no, we good.
We good.
They good. You know what I'm saying? you good candy.
If they start calling them shit, a lot of them congressmen gonna be like, all right,
right.
We good on that. But that too though.
We're going too far.
But the strip, they not specifically when they say it. But you probably have way more people that's barbers and hairstylists than you have adult entertainers. Adult entertainer engineers. So, but the thing is that, so they know that that's another underreported industry, but that's not a focus. But it's been mentioned because they'll say entertainment. Yeah, they'll say entertainment.
Oh, they use the word entertainment.
Yeah, they'll say entertainment, but that can be singers that they kind of group that together. But that's in there. Yeah, and so they don't make a conscious effort as they do, because it's really, unless they just pop up in there and say you need a business license, and so now you basically go to the business license office in your
like,
two-piece.
You need to get yourself a business license.
Yeah, so but that is anything that's cash based. They put a little bit more focus on it, but they did emphasize the hair industry.
Wow. Okay. Mainly referring to barbers and hairstylists.
Stylists, yeah. You know, and now, like I say, because nail techs is big now, lash techs, all that now. So now they just kind of do the whole beauty industry. Gotcha. It's a beauty industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not just in the urban areas, just like all over.
No, that's all over. The whole industry is losing money. Okay. Now, where they may be focusing at, you know, maybe us.
That's what I was hitting at.
Yeah, maybe us, but that's, you know, they know they losing all over.
Mm-hmm. Now, we got the stimulus check last year, and then we just recently got the stimulus check. Who's paying for that?
Us as citizens. And this is why I say that's going to be an issue. Mm-hmm. Right now, when you're in a pandemic and you're trying to help somebody, you ain't really being as strategic in who you're giving it to. You just got to give right now.
Gotcha.
So basically, you know, like if somebody's drowning, you ain't asking a whole lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know, so ain't nobody here with you? You know, who you by yourself? You know,
how'd you get in the water?
Yeah, how'd you get in the water? You know, what made you go in the deep end? You ain't asking those questions. You just throwing something out there to try to help them.
I see you make it plain, man.
Yeah, so you throwing it out there to help them. Mm-hmm. That's where we at right now.
Gotcha.
In a pandemic, they're giving. But I was just talking to my daddy. I said, we don't even realize, man, like we giving these stimulus, we giving 1,200, 1,400, 600. We giving this, we giving PPPs, EIDLs. Mm-hmm. We saying, all right, 1.9 trillion is not enough. We did 3.3 trillion. Mm-hmm. We did 980 billion. Mm-hmm. We did another 1.9 trillion. So we talking about doing another 2.5 trillion. Bruh, that's a lot of trillions. A lot of
trills, yeah.
Is that money?
Is that keeping it real trill?
Is that the stimulus? Is that taxable money? Is that money taxed?
No, right? No, it's not taxable. Yeah,
so we don't even address that.
You won't factor in as income or anything. You actually get a credit for it, and I'll talk about that. But when you're talking about who's paying for it, I just don't see how you're gonna give away probably at the end of the day $10 trillion. Mm-hmm. And they don't recoup that somehow,
yeah.
And so that's why I say the tax rate gonna go up, property taxes, something's gonna happen in America, and we gonna hurt the most as black folks because whenever there's a negative, black folks hurt the most because we have the less resources.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
We have the less resources, and so that's why we're gonna hurt the most. And
see now you got my radar is going off now. I'm gonna. For the main of the year, I'm watching the news. I'm trying to see just what you're saying. Like, where is this money going to get taken from?
Well, you can't see it right now. It's too early.
I know, but I'm
2 years. I tell people 2 to 3 years.
That far out.
Once this passed and they play catch up. What we got to understand, all of these government organizations are always, the IRS is always behind. Their systems is extremely antiquated. That's why people be wondering, like, how I get a letter from 2016,
right?
You know, because they just catching up to that. You know, so that's why people get letters from way back when. So even with all of this, SBA, they just ain't gonna have the manpower to catch all of this stuff right away.
Gotcha.
So over the next 2 to 3 years, when they start checks and balancing, then you're gonna start seeing a lot of this. And so then it's gonna be an issue, and then that's when, like I said, we're gonna hurt the most because we have the less resources. So if they start penalizing, if they start taxing higher, we don't have the resources to lean on and say, I got a savings, I got this, I got that. And that's the part that scares me, that, you know, we don't see it. And this is why I'm telling people, position yourself now for after COVID.
Right.
You know, position yourself now, because that's going to eventually end.
Yeah.
And we ain't going to get all of this free money. So if you living and depending on free money right now, you're in trouble because it's going to end.
You know what kind of hurt me, like when those first round of checks went out the first time, I just saw people out there just bawling. I'm like, y'all don't do that. You're kind of misusing the money. Like they didn't give you not really give, but they didn't issue those checks out for that. Like, how
many days y'all have for me to sit here? Or y'all need me to come back to talk about that? Have a part 2 on that, because
it could be a segment. You know.
Yeah, when y'all have a good week.
Yeah.
When you talk about that, that's a whole nother. Oh man,
did that bother you seeing all that going on?
Yeah. But
time too. They buy TVs. And
Yeah.
but but Walmart.
But isn't that
did
to
y'all
be considered stimulating the?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, it spells it out. Like another tax professional put something out about some of the criteria behind all of this, and she was like, a lot of y'all didn't even read the contract. I say no. She say some of y'all didn't even read. I say some. Almost nobody.
Except
Almost nobody. Right. Like read it. Like what? Like you supposed to read it?
What fine print?
And so that's going to be a big issue though. And like I said, I don't know how long we're going to be here, but if we got another day, I'll address that and my theory behind why. And I can always, I'll say that what I believe, this is almost what I know.
Okay.
And I'm seeing the future. And I tell people, the thing about it is a lot of the stuff that I said was coming to fruition with a lot of the stuff going on now pretty much came about. And that's through just having experience and know how the government work and different things. And that EIDL is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And again, we're going to be hurt the most by it because we're going to have the less resources. So when we talk about bouncing back from all of the stuff and the bad credit and the defaults and all of that stuff, when we talk about bouncing back, it's harder for us to bounce back because we don't have bounce back situations. And then we probably leased again. And again, that could be a whole nother show when we start talking about unity and collaboration and working together. And so another reason that's going to be a challenge for us to bounce back a lot faster because we haven't adopted that concept yet.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you mentioned the EIDLs and all that. Now, and I guess us black people being affected, our community, because is that supposed to be a forgivable loan?
No, not the EIDL. The EIDL, basically, the first part that they gave as a grant. So if you got the initial part up front and it ranged from $1,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
If you got that initial part and they gave it to you as an advance, that part is forgivable because it's a grant. But the actual EIDL is not. It's a loan.
Okay.
Now you have 30 years to pay it back, which means nothing in most cases, to be honest with you, But the reason why I say people gonna hurt with that is because a lot of people brought businesses out the woodwork.
Okay.
And now you give somebody $30,000, $40,000. In a lot of cases, that's been a year now. That money's spent.
Yeah.
And if it's not all spent now, in 2 years, it's going to probably be spent.
But will in a sense, the chickens come back to roost? Because aren't they going to want to know what did you do with that money?
Yes.
I mean, I know people who've upgraded homes.
Yeah, but it's a whole bunch of stories. Because I've seen people basically that didn't have no money before that, but then you on the island wilding, like on that boat.
Right. Living your best life.
Did they get a raise? But that's a whole other subject.
Right.
But the thing about it is again, the issue is going to be that money, $30,000, $40,000 is going to be spent in 2 years. I got 30 years to pay it back. But that third year, and we're going to use the third year, now I no longer have the money.
Right.
But I still have to pay that $250 every month. You think I'm going to pay $250 back for 30 years every month when things are already tight? So what's going to happen is I might pay $250 for 6 months. And I'm like, I can't do this. I got to let this go.
They see I'm good.
So I'm defaulted. Now I've defaulted on this loan.
Yeah.
So now my credit is jacked up now.
Wow.
So again, when you start talking about stimulating the economy, it's going to be no buying power because everybody going to have bad credit because they defaulted on this loan.
Yeah. Wow.
All I know is I've been seeing a lot of Dodge Chargers on the highway lately.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, though, I'm hoping I'm right on this, that somewhere down the line, they're going to have to forgive that. Or they're going to have to because I think the percentage of people that's going to forfeit on these loans, because the thing is, the only other way you're going to be able to do it is pay it in one lump sum. And pay it back. Yeah. And where you getting $30,000, $40,000 in one lump sum to go ahead and pay this loan back?
Right.
Just think about the people who got $70,000, $80,000. Now they got to pay $400, $500 a month. Jeez. So now if you basically Even if you didn't use it all, you can pay what you didn't use. But until you do that, you still got to pay the parts you use back in full.
Right.
So if I got 80,000 and I use 40, I still have to pay that same monthly amount on 40, and I won't have to ever stop paying it until I pay the whole 80 back.
In other words, you're saying if you got 80 and you only spent 40, if you gave them the 40 back, you still have to pay that same full amount
on the 40 that you have left.
Wow, so you can't even break that down.
No, you might can go back. They might let people renegotiate.
Okay,
but that ain't in the system right now.
So they ain't talking about it.
They ain't talking about it right now. You know, and so that might be something to help people out.
Gotcha.
And maybe not default, but still, again, if I don't have 40,000 in the bank, it ain't likely that I'm gonna keep paying $500 a month on $40,000 that I don't have.
It's like paying a car note for a car that's sitting out in your driveway that won't move.
Exactly. Yeah. So eventually I'm gonna stop paying it. I'm gonna do something with it. I ain't gonna keep paying on that car and I can't use it. I think that's gonna be a lot of people's situation.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people. When I say a lot, I would say at least 60 to 70%.
Jeez.
You know, so they're gonna have to modify something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gonna hurt people credit. If you got 60 to 70% people with worse credit than it already is,
right,
we have no buying power. So the economy can't be stimulated because people can't purchase nothing.
Right.
You know, and so this is why it's gonna be a long-term effect.
Is there a new round of EIDL or no?
No, it's not a new round of EIDL. It's a new round of PPP. So it's the second round of PPP. So if you got it the first time, you can possibly get an extension on it. Gotcha. The good thing about the PPP is it's forgivable, or as I say, non-paybackable.
Okay.
So if you do the right thing with it, you're able to show documentation, it becomes a grant.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons why I tell people to legitimately apply for the PPP. If somebody's going to give you money, I don't care if it's $8,000. If I have the possibility of not paying it back, that's a no-brainer.
True.
Both of them is a no-brainer if you do the right thing, if you have a purpose for it. And the reason why I say that, because the EIDL, the loan amount the interest is 3.75.
Okay.
Black folks ain't getting loans for no 3.75. That's an excellent rate.
And you're looking at 29.9.
Plus, that in the history, SBA ain't giving out loans this easy.
Yeah.
So if under normal circumstances, if the SBA went by their regular criteria, 90% of these people would never get EIDL because the criteria is too stringent for where most people are at in business.
Gotcha.
So this is the easiest time.
It's been real laxed.
This is the easiest time to get the loan, and it's the cheapest that you'll get it.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm telling people, get it if you have a purpose. If you can use money to make more money in your business.
Right.
If it can get you a piece of equipment to basically build your business to a next level, get some inventory. Those things you can't lose with it because the terms are too good. The PPP is 1%.
Wow.
It's a 1% loan. You know, and so even if you don't even, for some reason you can't forgive it, it's a 1% loan.
Yeah.
So if you have the right purpose for it and it can help you grow your business, it makes sense to get it. Because we won't get a chance, you know, to get it this easy before. And hopefully we don't ever have another pandemic where it make it easy again. You know, I would rather make it hard and not have a pandemic than have to go through this.
Absolutely.
But let me ask, so not every business will get the PPP, correct? And you have to show that you've made money? Your business made money?
Well, more with the PPP is the payroll protection program. The PPP is more about employees. That was the initial thing, is when all these businesses started laying people off.
Right.
Because they couldn't pay them, they gave you the PPP so you'll still be able to pay your employees. Now, a lot of places where we lost out at is because we was like, oh, I don't have employees, you know, but even if you didn't have employees and you were the only person as a contractor in your business, you couldn't apply for people that were considered contractors, but you could apply for it for yourself. You know, and so a lot of times we was like, I don't have employees, you know, and then on the flip side, you have people say, I have 5 employees, but they were contractors, and it wasn't the same.
Gotcha.
You know, and so you can't apply for contractors, only yourself, and you know, so it's gonna be a lot of stuff going on though.
Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be a real big cluster, you know, when it's all said and done. Now, how let me ask you this: Can you apply for this second round of PPP if you did not apply for it the first time?
No. You just apply for the first.
Okay.
They brought both of them back.
Oh.
So if you didn't apply for the first time, you go ahead and apply for it the first time. But if you already got it the first time, you can get it the second time. Because, see, everybody knew they was bringing it back.
Okay.
So everybody was like, all right, they're bringing it back. Can I apply again? That was the question mark. We already knew that the people who didn't get it the first time could apply. So the question was the second. So the big thing is not that it's back. The big thing is that they're allowing people who got it the first time to possibly get it the second time.
Okay.
How do you apply for it?
You say, how do you apply? It's different institutions. Like when I talk about this, I tell people not to apply with the big banks.
Well,
the big
like
banks was playing the game. Like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase,
gotcha.
SunTrust. A lot of them was playing games. Like some people got it, but the red tape that they were sending people through. Because, see, it wasn't enough return for a lot of them.
Gotcha.
It was more of a headache for them. So they was really making it stringent for people to get it. Plus, they were, they were stretching people out. So it's institutions out there that's more lending institutions like Cabbage.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Cabbage, Fundbox.
Okay.
A company called Lendio.
Okay.
PayPal was doing it. Square.
Right.
So a lot of these companies like that was doing it. That's who you basically, Blue Vine.
Okay.
That's who you had a better chance with. And so right now, even now, that's your better chance because some of the big companies didn't get into it, but the smaller companies are usually, and even some of the smaller banks. I tell people, don't sleep on the smaller banks because see what's happening is it's an incentive for a lot of these companies to now have you as a long-term client.
Right.
Wells Fargo really don't care. Like if you become a client afterwards, that's cool. But these smaller banks, now if we give you PPP, you become a client now. Blue Vine is a lending company. So now if we give you this PPP this time, you pay it back. Now we can come and say, all right, we got offers where we can give you a loan for so-and-so because you already got a history with us. So now, you ain't getting to that 3.5% or no 1%, into that. So when they come back, they're on them terms now, 17.9%.
Right. They're talking a real now.
Yeah, but we can give it to you because you got history.
Right.
So that's why you don't go through the big banks. You can, but those institutions that I just named were probably better served. So that's how you apply. You just go to their website. Most of it's online. I did bring some of the things for people, like the things that you need to have is your driver's license, usually back and forward.
Okay.
I mean, back side and front side. Bank statement showing that your business actually has a business bank. But if you applying as an independent contractor, you still need a bank account with your name and address and all that stuff match. A voided check in a lot of cases. If you are LLC, your Secretary of State stuff. Yeah. And I can't emphasize this enough. Have your LLC stuff up to date. When you go in there, it says administrative dissolve or active.
Right, yeah.
You need to get it active because if they go out there and they see that it's administrative dissolve, they say, well, you're not operating a business because your business is not active. Yeah. So you're going to automatically get denied. That's very important. A Schedule C means that's a tax return for people that's not a corporation. They may request that. Your tax ID number. Your tax ID number, if you're using your LLC, all that stuff needs to match. The name on the tax ID number needs to match what's on the Secretary of State, needs to match the banking information. Okay. All that needs to match. If not, they're going to deny you.
Right.
Then a good email address, your social security number, and then if you got a 1099 that somebody gave you as a contractor, you might need that for some companies. But between all of those things, most of them, like some of them may only need 4 of those things.
Okay.
But I would tell people get all of that together because submit with different companies.
Okay.
So you can do that. You can submit with everybody, and whoever, you can't just get it with everybody. So if you get it with one person, you can't get it with another.
Now, but is there like an alert sent out, like, hey, you've been red flagged now because you got the money?
Not immediately, not while you do it, but eventually, like I said, they'll match your socials
they'll come catch up with you.
Yeah, they'll match it up, and so, but you can whichever one come first. So I tell people apply for everybody. Apply for everybody.
But shoot, what if you get it from this one and they give you $5,000? And then all of a sudden, this one came in with 25. You're like, golly. You know what I'm saying? What do you do?
But you can dictate. I can say you can dictate because it's supposed to be based on what you paid yourself.
Okay.
So typically, it ain't as if, all right, well, you said you want this much. Unless it's something crazy, we're going to give you this much. That does happen sometimes. But I think what they did this go round, they kind of maxed it out.
Okay.
You know, they kind of max it, especially for people who are just like one-person businesses. You know, so you either going to get this or nothing.
I got you.
You know, and so, but sometimes you can wait and see because sometimes a lot of these companies going to take much longer than the other. You know, and so you may just want to snatch. But that could happen, you know, and it's one of those, oh, my God, like, can I give y'all
Can
this
you send
back?
the money
Like,
back? Yeah.
Can y'all have this back?
That's funny. So, you know, I was trying to see. How will the unemployment, like the checks that people, the unemployment checks that people get, how will that affect them when they go to file their taxes? How does that work?
This is basically where I go. I went from like I did a lot in this industry. I went from tax consultant to business guru to relationship expert. And now grief counselor. Those unemployment statements, a lot of people gonna get those. And it's gonna affect a lot of people's taxes. And the reason why I say grief counselor, because everybody's gonna compare last year to this year.
Yeah.
It is gonna be totally different because that becomes taxable income. So now you gotta add that into your income, which now is going to boost people to a higher tax bracket.
Yeah.
God forbid you didn't have no taxes.
And they was breaking them off last year.
If you didn't have no taxes taken out of your unemployment, it's going to be even worse because now people who qualify for certain credits, that unemployment going to boost your income up where you no longer qualify for those credits.
Right.
So that's now going. You're going to say, oh, last year I got 5,000. This year I got 1,500. What changed? You got unemployment. You know, and so that's going to affect a lot of people because it's going to push tax brackets. It's going to eliminate credits that you normally get. So your situation is not going to look the same as it looked before, you know, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, you know. And the thing about it is, even if you had taxes taken out, unemployment taxes are usually taken out at a 10% tax bracket. So that's going to definitely help. But most people, the lowest tax bracket is 12%. Okay. So you're still not having enough taxes taken out at the rate you're going to probably be taxed at.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's going to affect a lot of people, and your taxes going to look a lot different. So as I stated to people, if you using your money or if you was dependent, on your tax return, your stimulus check to buy your boo a Valentine gift, you might want to change that. Because it ain't going to look the same. Right. If your birthday present was contingent on your tax return, then y'all might want to reconsider some stuff because it ain't going to look the same.
Wow. All right. Well, let's not end this on a down note. We're going to end it hopefully on a high note. How do you create the vacation lifestyle? Because I seen your page, and I see a lot of palm trees.
Nah, I don't go that much.
Nah, I'm messing with you.
Maybe a couple of times a month. That's all.
Right.
Not much.
I don't do a lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not as much as I want to.
Right.
Not as much as I want to. You know, it's a depressing time when you know you got to come back. I don't want people to have to deal with that. Be happy
return
for 5
trip.
days and then be sad again. That's too much.
That's too much to put on you.
Yeah, that's too much.
I feel you.
Too much
I feel
up and down on the emotion. You know, but the thing about it is. You know, one thing I tell people, you got to start early. That's why I'm with these millennials now. I'm pushing my millennials to understand how to start investing, start putting money aside, start creating that I don't have to worry about old age money. Yeah. You know, and so, but again, even if you're not a millennial, the thing is you got to get a business. You got to get a business. And the reason why I say that is because that's the only thing, I can say the only thing, but that's probably the one thing that, you know, the most prevalent thing that's they never gonna change because see, as your income start to grow, you start getting disallowed for a lot of stuff that can help you because they say you make too much money. Gotcha. People who have businesses, there's no limits, and see, they won't ever change that. They'll only make it better because you got to understand, probably 90% of the people who make the laws are probably business owners. So you got to get a business to learn how to keep more of your money. So they definitely will
make sure that it's working in.
Yeah. So when you have somebody making taking 40 to 50% of your money, so if you're W-2'd and somebody's taking 40 to 50% of your money, how can I really save if I'm only bringing home 50% of my money, but I'm living 100% lifestyle?
Of my life,
So I'm living 100% lifestyle. So I got to understand how to keep more of my money. So now you create the vacation lifestyle of saying now, as opposed to them taking 50%, what if they only took 20%?
Gotcha.
I take that 30% as disposable. I either put it into retirement, I put it into savings, I put it into a vacation fund.
Yeah.
So you learn how to keep more of your money. So now if I got a little bit more money and I'm living the same lifestyle, see, you can't take now, and if you got the extra 30%, I'm going to get a bigger house.
And that's what people want to upgrade.
I'm going to upgrade my car. I know I just paid it off 2 months ago. I want another
I want a $700 car note.
So now you get in those situations where now that money is no longer disposable. So now you basically probably saving more money, but in worse debt. And that's what happens a lot of times. And so we got to understand that. So with me, I understood, again, if I didn't give somebody 50 to 60% of my money from working a job, I can keep more of my money. If I can keep more of my money, I can invest more of my money.
Gotcha.
I can put away more of my money. I can use more of my money to travel. So when I do those things, my credit is good. When my credit is good, people give me more favorable stuff. True. When I get more favorable stuff, I can get more points that I can use for hotel, for travel.
Right.
I can get airline tickets through points. I can do all these things now to create a travel lifestyle.
Okay.
But we got to understand to play the game. 2 games that we're not winning at: taxes and credit. You win those 2 games. Think about it. Anything that you have to do in life almost to be progressive, one of those 2 things are involved.
Play a part,
If you say, you know what, I want to buy a house, I want to be a homeowner, you probably got to have both of those things. I need to get a business loan so I can enhance my business. I got to have either one of those 2 things. Student loan, I got to have one of those 2 things to get through college, whatever it may be. Anything that you need to do in this system to be progressive, you need one of those 2 things. So God forbid, again, if I have both of those jacked up, how can I be progressive in a system that's making me use things that I don't have?
That you don't have,
That's why we losing. We got to understand to play this game. If we learn to play this game, man, we going to win all day. We can win all day. And it really ain't that hard. It ain't hard at all. And then you got to be intentional about really wanting to do it.
There you go.
That's the thing, is that I was intentional about not working for nobody. I was intentional about traveling. I was intentional about those things. So you got to, and I tell people, people see me on social media now, and I tell people that, if people thinking that I'm doing this now because, in the last couple of years, but I tell people, I've been to all 50 states. I've been to all ancient wonders of the world. I've been to all 7 continents. You can't do that in the social media age.
Right.
I've been doing this in my early 20s. And so it's about positioning and being intentional about doing it. And even if you're at a point where you don't want to do it now, you say, I'm too old to do it. I don't want to. Do it for your children. Don't let your child go through the same things you went through. And we say that, I don't want them to go through. So we give them everything. We give them everything but positioning. We don't give them good credit. We don't give them, a pass down of legacy of finances or knowledge. Those what we need. Those are things we need to do for our children. No, we don't need to leave them with no debt. You can't leave a child a job. So if that's all you think you're doing, basically I got a good job. You better get some life insurance. And that's another thing. We got to learn to play that game. And I got started on that late, but now I understand how so many people been winning before us, understanding whole life. We don't understand that, how to leverage that. How now to create a retirement. Now, when you 20 years down the line, you getting tax-free money. You getting an extra $5,000 a month tax-free.
Wow.
For doing nothing. Or if you've then built over 20 years, you done built $500,000, $1 million in a cash value policy. My child, grandchildren, They don't need student loans. So again, know who get hurt the most by student loans? People say, well, white folks got student loans, but white folks got resources to not let student loan hamper them.
Right. Yeah.
To where now we getting student loans, but that people, I know people got house notes for student loans. But even if your student loan is $600 a month, you don't think that's killing somebody?
Heck yeah.
That's killing them. But I just see it every day. Like people got student loans they graduated 30 years ago.
Wow.
And they're still playing. And I'm not knocking nobody, but I'm saying
yeah.
that's a hindrance to my finances. If I'm paying student loans $600 a month, that's a vacation a month.
Yeah, man.
That's a vacation a month. You know, don't let my child go through that same thing. Don't let my child have to deal with student loans. Don't let my child have to find money to go to school.
To go to school, yeah.
Don't let my child find money basically to start a business. When these other communities, what these other communities doing, here, graduate, congratulate, here's $50,000, start, you know, get your business. We winning in some cases. But if it's taking you 5 to 10 years to get your business to a level where you're winning, and somebody got the resources from day one, you can't catch them with a 5 to 10 year head start.
No.
So that's why other communities are winning, because they're coming out of school with a $50,000 advance, with a $100,000 advance from grandfather fund, or the mom or the daddy had a whole life insurance policy that paid out or gave them $50 to start a business.
Yeah.
We don't have the same advantages.
Yeah.
This is why we have to change it. And so when everybody talk about, you know, their kids and they'll die for their kids and all that, I say, first of all, live for your kids. You know, before you start talking about dying for your kids, and put them in position to win.
I like that.
You know,
that's a tweet right there too.
Put them in position to win. You know, and that's the one thing I want to do with my daughter. I say, if I ain't give my daughter nothing else, I'm gonna give her some resources to win, some knowledge. We got to give generational knowledge.
Yeah, true that.
And I always say, basically, you can't show what you don't know. So a lot of times, as the parent, all you know is working, but you do know Brian is out here giving this information.
Right.
So if nothing else, tell your child, well, I need you to go meet Brian. I need you to listen to this video. I need you to do something.
Yeah.
That's the least you can do. That won't cost you nothing. You know, because a lot of times we get embarrassed because we don't know this stuff. I'm like, don't be embarrassed. Like, be embarrassed by saying your parent didn't tell you. You know, our mama didn't teach us this. Our parent. Be embarrassed by saying, well, I know my mama didn't teach me this, but I'd be damned if I'm not going to teach my child. Right. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. That ain't an excuse no more. Yeah. That ain't an excuse no more. It's too much information out here, you know, through people that's giving it and through technology. Right. So when you start talking about create the travel lifestyle, that's how you do it. Understand how to play this credit game and this tax game. Yeah. And it'll free up so much time for you. It'll free up so much money for you, you know, but you got to be intentional about doing it. And so when we learn this business game, because see, nobody with me only working a job 11 months, nobody ever monopolized my time. Right. So you can't do what I do if somebody's monopolizing your time and you getting 2 weeks a year. Yeah. You know, some of my vacations are 2 weeks. You know, so that's
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know, and so you can't do 3-4 trips a year.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know, if you only got 2 weeks to do it. You know, and so that's the thing, is that we got to understand, you got to create freedom with your time. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and so when you're not a slave to your job, then you can make those moves. You know, and so even if I ain't saying, if you got a business and your business struggling a little bit and you get a part-time job or something, but you got to do something to get away from that mentality. Right. You know, you got to educate yourself, because again, everything that you can do on a job now, you can do as a business owner. True that. If it's 401k you want to put into, if it's retirement, if it's life insurance, health insurance, whatever, you can do that as a self-employed person. You know, we just don't get in positions to know it. Right. You know, and so again, man, I'm here for, I want to see people travel. I love it. Yeah. You know, I love it. You know, I basically, you ain't gonna never hear me say it's lonely at the top, you know, but I would love company. You know, I would love company. Yeah. You know, I know it's lonely at the bottom too. So if I had a choice,
it's miserable at the bottom.
If I had a choice, I'm going up top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we have a choice. Yeah. We have a choice.
There's some good information, man. Yeah. Real good stuff.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all for allowing me to spread it and having a platform, but not just using it basically to really just talk gossip and nonsense, and that's the beautiful thing. So I appreciate y'all really getting at least me in here to talk some pertinent information.
Absolutely. Brian Joubert. Now, is that French?
Yes, that's French. So I'll get people to debate me on my last name. Like, it's Joubert. Like, well, my daddy say Joubert, so I say
I'm saying what my daddy say. You know what I'm saying?
Joubert is not incorrect. It's the more French pronunciation.
Gotcha.
But my daddy say Joubert, so I say Joubert.
Okay. And there's actually a figure skater by the name of...
Don't bring that up, man. 'Cause people Google it sometimes. They be like, "You're not that white gay figure skater, huh?" Like,
I didn't say that part. I just said he was a figure skater.
But they got to emphasize that you're not that white gay figure skater, huh?
Like, and I was like, I don't think that's him.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
No, that's not me.
Well, he got skills though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That boy good.
You from Louisiana, right?
Huh?
You from Louisiana?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I get it now.
It finally
The
came
last
up.
name. I get the last
Yeah,
name.
that took long. Yeah, because
And you kept saying bounce back too. I said, yeah, he from there.
yeah, normally it'll come out like some people like, you don't have the accent no more. And I keep talking to be like, oh yeah, I
it
hear
starts
it now.
sliding out. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that New Orleans twang. I'll mispronounce some word. You be like, what was that you said? I said, nah, it was just that New Orleans twang. Just it's correct. It just twang threw it off a little bit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming through. We appreciate you coming through, and y'all make sure y'all check out. Oh, where can they find you?
Oh, actually, you can find me on, and I'll probably change the handle, but right now it's Rich Boy on Instagram, RichBoyJup1. That's Rich Boy Jupe, RichBoyJup1. So I'll be changing
like one of them
that
rappers
soon.
out here.
Yeah, I'll be changing. But Rich Boy actually, what Rich Boy stands for is really interested in caring how businesses operate internally.
I like that.
Yeah, so RichBoy, really interested in caring how businesses operate internally.
Okay.
Because we got to understand the internal part. We understand internal, which is the foundation. We understand that in relationships. Oh, your foundation have to be good for the relationship to work.
Right.
You're building a house. Your foundation have to be good.
Right.
For the house to last. Same with business.
Yeah.
Your infrastructure, your internal part has to be solid
Yeah.
in order for your business to grow. And so make sure y'all follow me. Every Tuesday I do a live, just talking business, answering questions.
On Facebook.
Talking PPP, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook is, I don't have as much room, but Instagram is probably a better platform.
Okay.
So follow me on Instagram. You can go to my website. It's lbtaxservice.com. And you can get the information as far as the business write-offs. You can call my office, email us if you have questions. All that information is on the website, but lbtaxservice.com. And, man, I love this. I love helping folks and, getting people in position because I'm going to eat regardless. I tell you, but I'm going to eat regardless.
Right.
I've eaten all my life, And my thing is that it's enough food for everybody. Then I've changed my diet, so it's more food for everybody.
Yeah, I'm on your IG. Y'all can catch him working out too. On his IG page.
I'm about to get my stripper fine on. So I definitely ain't about to eat as much, So I probably did my last travel. I ain't gonna say last travel, but really like frequent travel for probably to after tax season. Okay. So I'll be here. I'll be grounded. So it's plenty of food because I ain't eating as much. Like I said, stripper fine coming, and I might get out of tax business. So I might do some. That's another conversation though, but yeah,
Right.
At least you won't be taxed though.
yeah,
You can be taxed lower.
So if y'all see me basically doing taxes in a wife beater, I've arrived. I've reached my fitness goal.
Right. That's funny. But once again, man, I want to say thank you, Brian Joubert. Make sure y'all Joubert. Make sure y'all follow him on Instagram, on Facebook.
Yes.
And use his services, man, because this man, and check out the lives because he be dropping some knowledge, some nuggets, stuff that will be necessary in your business and even in your personal finances. He know what he's talking about.
And even if you don't use my service, bring it back to your tax person and let them know I said something.
Tell them to look at you.
They need to do. But I tell you, if you got to tell your tax person something I told you, you might just want to have a moment.
Right.
Hey, Brian didn't say that
before. Yeah. Right.
That's not what Brian said.
That ain't what Brian said. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. It's your boy G-Way holding down. G-Way Podcast, kicking it alongside with my man Deacon.
Dirty.
Y'all already know what it is.
The G-Wade Podcast. The G-Wade Podcast. Bringing you the cool interviews, the hot topics, and all that other crap. The G-Wade Podcast with Deacon Dirty.